Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining us today for your 365 ERP has your inventory sales ready. Now make customers spend more and love you for it. We're excited to have you here. My name is Joy, and I'll be your moderator today. And joining me today is Jason, the CEO from SellStack, and Chris, Director Go-to-Market from 365 Cannabis, now part of Innovia Consulting. Before we get started, I do have a few housekeeping items. All attendees are currently on mute, but if you do have any questions throughout the session, please go ahead and drop them in the Q&A panel at the bottom of your Zoom screen. We will be moderating those throughout the webinar, and we'll address as many as we can during the Q&A portion at the end. With that, we'll go ahead and get started, and I will turn it over to Jason and Chris to walk us through today's session.
Thanks so much, Joy. Pleasure to be here. It's Jason Agouris, actually. I realized that I had never given my last name to Joy. It's Jason Agouris and Chris Guthrie, of course. So I am from SellStack, and Chris is from 365 Cannabis, part of Innovia. We're looking to frame why the power of SellStack plus 365 Cannabis is such a powerful part of cannabis business next evolution. So we're not working at a product demo level today. We're talking at a high level on principles and strategy, and where so many cannabis businesses are having trouble and facing problems that they often don't even know that they had. So you may already have a stack. You may already have something that you're working with that works well enough. We're diving in a little bit more as to where these platforms, or these duct tape platforms, often fall flat in one way or the other. And if you've got any questions about details, or you would like to see more about SellStack and 365 Cannabis together, happy to dive in with you separately, and of course ask questions today. Chris, do you have anything else to add as we're diving in?
Just that my experience in the cannabis industry is 16, almost 17 years in, and I have watched several iterations of the evolution as cannabis stepped out of the black market into the gray market and then into the fully regulated market. And the parallels between grow and extraction technology really closely mirror the sales, manufacturing, and ERP technology. In that, if you didn't have a tool or a system to produce cannabis, you invented it. And that same spirit really translated and got brought forward in the technology that we saw in the beginning of the decade, and as far back as like 2015, lots of startup technology companies that really started as compliant skins to make Metric and BioTrack even palatable. As those platforms evolved, they added business logic on top of it, but the tech debt that is inherent in those systems really becomes really apparent as we get into a sales environment that demands high velocity and the reduction of friction. There is nothing that causes more friction than multiple spreadsheets and multiple platforms and no single source of truth. And so the 365 Cannabis partnership with iTristan was really born out of that desire for us to create a grown-up platform that made selling your products as frictionless as possible for your customers. We're really excited to share this with you.
We are, and the origin, further to what Chris said, the origin to how this started was as Chris said, 365 had reached a point where they were trying to find that end customer experience platform and ordering platform and last mile platform, essentially all rolled into one. And when they reached out to us, we had been working in various sectors in sort of complex supply chain, but for differing kinds of industries, fintech, e-commerce, in different kinds of e-commerce, and this sort of thing. And when they came to us, their first question was, Chris.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know. What was the first question, Jason?
The first question was, can you guys work with product lots?
Yes. And that was after a bunch of sort of unsuccessful demos with like standard ecom platforms. That was really the big differentiator that normal ecom couldn't handle. They could sell items, but as we know, you can have the same item, that literally the same SKU from two different lots made available by your gardens. You can have one lot that has been turned into different items. And that level of complexity that was really driven by the compliance reporting platforms like Metric and BioTrack created a weird dissonance in how people sell. And so solving that, creating a sales platform that can handle that complexity, allow you to price one lot of flower that has tops, mids, popcorn, and pre-rolls potentially all created from that same plant really befuddled platforms like, well, without saying any names, befuddled a lot of standard ecom platforms. And so solving that problem has been really fun.
It has been fun. It's not been without its challenge, but interestingly, we got the lot thing solved fairly quickly.
Mhm.
After that, it became a lot of the selling experience and buying experience that is unique to the cannabis sector, to the way that businesses work, and ultimately, it's led to a very interesting journey that has empowered some of our mutual clients now in ways that I think, Chris, we didn't really envision at the time, but it has been, a lot of fun and really cool, and we would like to share this with as many people as possible at this point.
Yeah.
So ultimately, this brings us to the end game, and so we want to share the experience that's happening now with lots of SellStack 365 cannabis users, on what it is that their customers, their actual customers, are doing. And this scenario here is a very real one that happened not too long ago. And the scenario starts with a client we're going to call an end customer called Dylan. And we found on Memorial Day, U.S. Memorial Day, we found that an order had been made for ultimately for $40,000 or thereabouts. Uh, but in particular, this was a $40,000 order for all of his stores. And he had gone in, and because SellStack has a feature, we'll talk about it later, called multi-business ordering, he was able to drop $40,000 across all of his stores and threw it into SellStack, which ultimately created 9 individual sales orders for all of these, all of his dispensaries, uh, all on a holiday while the client's business was effectively shut down. And when they came in the next day after Memorial Day, the 9 sales orders were just sitting there. And Dylan had managed to do this in about 15 minutes because he could. And he had confidence in the data. He had confidence in the choices of lots, as we just said. And it was just simply easy. And then he went off to have his holiday. So what we want to go through is why Dylan was able to do this, why our client business was able to do this and have confidence in this process while they were on holiday, and all the backstories to the pieces that makes all of this work, and why we're so excited to bring this to you today.
Yeah. And just to put a finer point on that, when I am talking to new prospects about moving away from what I disaffectionately call the Frankenstein cannabis tech stack of a cultivation platform, connective spreadsheet, inventory platform, connective spreadsheet, processing platform, connective spreadsheet, and then a really disconnected sales process, what that inevitably means is that there is a lot of back and forth and chatter that needs to happen about what is available. Is the COA there? Is this released? Can I sell it? And by powering your e-com platform with the information that is in the ERP has broken the silos between your cultivation team, your processing team, manufacturing, and inventory team. The only outlier was those rogue salespeople who didn't have direct access to the ERP. And let's face it, like salespeople are not smart enough to deal with ERP data anyway. What SalesStack is doing is putting all of the ERP data in front of the sales team, current, trusted, released, available to sell. And as Jason will show you later, it will allow salespeople to keep a few little nice things in their back pocket if they want to like really offer their customers something special. So this story about Dylan making orders from one of our customers, say 9 sales orders for different stores created and waiting for the pick and pack team, I think is the most frankly startling example of how the sales team can go out and operate and be racking up sales and racking up commissions without needing to check with the inventory manager, the processing manager, asking the cultivation team, like, what's coming down the pipe? What are you chopping down right now? All of that ERP data is made visible for your customers and your staff. So just, yeah, breaking that silo is something that I am like really one of the things that I'm really most excited about.
And it's one of the things that we learned as coming somewhat sideways into the industry was exactly what Chris said, is that the sales team themselves fundamentally didn't really know what was out there. They knew what was in front of them, but that data could be 1 day old, or it could be 7 days old, or even longer.
Mm-hmm.
There are always gaps in as we call it, the primary source of truth. And there was always a gap in guesswork that was going on. So our goal was to close that gap to effectively real time,
Mm-hmm.
and so that confidence that that when the salespeople and the end customer were looking at that data, they were looking at the real deal. And we'll do some screenshots a little bit in a little bit. But ultimately, the shift is for those of you who are thinking about the full cycle of end to end production and selling. The end shift was the data goes in once from the production side, the testing gets in. And Chris, do you want to sort of go in what goes in at the production side, and then what does SellStack grab onto to present?
Well, the entire purpose and what the ultimate ROI of ERP is to prevent, first of all, like duplicate entry across multiple screens. Not only is it taking your staff time to reconcile the cultivation data with the processing data, making sure chain of custody is maintained. Uh, Once a finished lot has a COA, making sure that that gets assigned and socialized across all of the teams. That's what ERP is meant to do, like I said before, to break all of those silos and get your team working all in one system under one source of truth. So if you have multiple spreadsheets that people are entering that acts as the source of truth, like this is one of the number one points of vulnerability. Like not only is it taking a lot of time to harmonize that, but what happens if there's an error? What happens if something is not released, and a salesperson promises it? Then there is a very awkward conversation of, hey, I know I promised you this like super fire lot, but unfortunately I have to pull it back. Well, how about this? How about this? That prevents all of that. All of the manufacturing cycle, special terps, special cannabinoids that are on the COA that live on your lot and item cards, all of that gets pulled without manual entry into the product records that is being displayed that your customers are shopping for. Like, unfortunately, the industry is still shopping by THC. So if you've got, 180 products, that's 180 times of looking at the spreadsheet, entering it over here. Wait, what was that point over here? That is an incredibly time consuming area. So in ERP, we measure ROI by minutes you get back. And so that's just the first thing. By populating your sales engine with the ERP data, there's potentially hours that your people get back to do something more creative, more valuable, rather than manually entering THC, uh, strain type, is it indica, sativa, all of those things. So like that's the first thing I would say, because that's where your hidden cost lives, is the time wasted.
Well, exactly, and that time wastage is completely not scalable.
Mhm.
For all of our mutual clients who are growing, and they're growing either through productivity, growing through efficiency, and growing through sheer scale of sales, their one goal is being able to do this with as few humans doing everything that Chris just said, and taking that half hour a day, 1 hour a day. That is unscalable. You cannot have Sue continuing to do that while sales double. Sue cannot do that, and humans are just bad at this kind of work. So being able to trust in this in the chain of custody of data of lot attributes, that whether they're testing or other lot data that is starting with production going all the way out to the customer, trusting in that frees Sue up, and then that doubling or tripling of sales can happen, because you don't need Sue to do 1, 2, 3, 4 hours a day. Ultimately, the more you scale, and this is of course clearly the point. And coming back to the Dylan example, some of our businesses have increased their shipping velocity by well over 100%. And frankly, it wasn't really on our radar that it would potentially turn into that level of scale so quickly. But we can see it now with this level of automation and chain of custody data. And one further thing to Chris's point about COA, even COA documents for jurisdictions that need it can be stored at the product lot level so that they can be downloaded. So all of this can be done at scale.
Well, and
And
I will let me just tag one thing on there, Jason, before I forget it, about Sue. If you have a superstar like Sue that is able to reconcile inventory availability, release status, and fulfillment, and she is able to do that manually, she is a very smart person. As you grow and that demand keeps multiplying on Sue, sooner or later you're gonna reach a point where Sue is, even with all of her smarts and expertise, is not going to be able to do that, and you risk burning Sue out. And losing a resource like that, I mean, that's another unseen cost and an unseen risk of continuing to build a business on processes and data structures, methodologies that require brute force. So introducing a smoother, frictionless um, process like the 365 Cannabis and SellStack integration makes Sue's life easier. What else can Sue do for you with all of that brain power that she's not just manually brute forcing, punching orders into fulfillment and pick and pack?
exactly. Which brings us to the selling experience. So one of the main things here, besides working on making sure lot compliance data is entered once, that there's no re-entry, and Sue is freed up, is now what does this mean for the selling experience itself? And most most businesses before they get to ERP are doing what, Chris?
They are manually reconciling everything. They are creating spreadsheets and mailing them out, emailing them out, and then manually entering orders. Everything is all disconnected. There is phantom inventory that is either there or not there. And it creates the beginning of what we, again, disaffectionately refer to as the pain cascade, right? Your spreadsheets are stale. Again, there is inventory that is available or not available. And cannabis processors and especially growers, like they are passionate, they are proud of what they are creating. Like the proudest people that I have ever met are literally hash makers that take the time to select the right flower. Their water temperature is perfect, the shape of their ice is perfect, and when that is ready after a long slow cure, they want it to get out as fast as possible, which means from the beginning of the day to the end of the day, that spreadsheet of available inventory for your salespeople, it can be stale, and it is preventing that like super fire drop post that your salesperson wants to put out. They can't quote confidently on those stale spreadsheets, and it introduces a bit of trepidation. Then, of course, like once they get a good order in, the order comes in on the spreadsheet. Then that salesperson, let's hope they are not driving to another customer to sell another lot. They've got to stop, take that spreadsheet, enter it into the ERP. Oh, that was wrong. Oh, fat fingered it. Oh, I've got ketchup all over because I'm trying to eat on my way to my next customer. All of these like tiny little manual things are time equals times lost equals dollars lost.
So we wanted to solve that. So with SellStack, the data that you're looking at the left is that lot data for every single lot. We're not showing the details inside the lot, but this is showing all the lots that are available and the various statuses for each lot, whether it's available for sale on the front end and this sort of thing. But that inventory data on the right-hand side in the green is a literal representation in real time of the ERP's understanding of what is in the warehouse in the moment, how many products are available, and how many products are reserved. So that when both the salesperson is making any phone calls or the front end customer is looking in the product or looking for available product, they will be ordering based on actual real inventory in the moment, not something that a spreadsheet once said 2 days ago.
So
And
if you have ever, sorry, Jason,
no,
I'm a golden retriever. I get very excited. Like that's exactly what I was talking about, though, Jason, is that things come out of the processing room at various stages and they get posted. Everybody has waited for something that is ready and in the inventory, waited for the spreadsheet to update, waited for the inventory manager to release that to the sales team. This way, the sales team and your customers are always looking at what is available right now, no waiting.
And what's become exciting watching this launch for so many businesses now is, as you just said, Chris, is that there's a direct, almost um, almost like live screen kind of, is it ready yet? Have you released it yet? Um, because it is in real time, and we found that sales teams and warehouse slash production teams, they're talking now ongoing because they know that lot ABC, it's about to be really. Did you do it yet? Good. Oh, I see it now. I'm going. I can make the call, and they know that as long as that lot quantity is green and all of the flags are the way they need it to be, they're good to go. There's nothing else to worry about. They know that they can make the call, send the email, whatever they need to do to make the sale, and just. And there are a few more sales tools that we'll talk about in a second. But similarly, you see the arrow on the right hand side. So that's a SellStack sales order that's now been made. All that lot data is passed with that sales order, so that the picking team, the sales team, they can look directly in the sales order, and they know that that lot that was available in the time of the order was provisioned for that sales order right there on the screen, and it is now locked down as a reserved item as part of the sales order in the ERP. It's all done at real time. They don't have to worry that someone almost bought them out of a particular lot, because it's already been handled at the ERP level. There is not going to be any overselling because all the systems already know this.
And just to point to another place where your staff is getting minutes back, as Jason just said, all of that lot data history, pricing, potency, compliance, COA, because that is getting pulled from the ERP, it is populating the sales order, but it's also going to be populating the pick and pack list. It's going to be populating the manifest. It's going to be populating the invoice that you sent. Again, no more taking things from the sales order and manually entering everything. This is where the 1 minute of savings on this screen plus 1 minute of savings on this screen, Sue, our superstar that we were just talking about, if she's been brute forcing all of these orders and manually entering everything, like, I'm not going to do the math for your organization, but it's something that I hope that you will think about. How much time is being spent reproducing information that you already have manually? That is the promise of ERP, and that's the real power of 365 Cannabis plus SellStack.
And the last mile part of this that we're not going to get into too much here is that, as Chris put it, the end manifest that comes out of this sales order can go directly into the integrated Smart Roots platform, which SellStack also supports. So this sales order, whether it's one line item or 50 line items, is going in the car directly out of SellStack, directly into Smart Roots in a turn-by-turn direction relationship, so that this is effectively literally handed to the warehouse person at the end dispensary. It's all integrated and there's no guesswork. The driver is as aware of this sales order as a production person who put the product together in the first place.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this brings us to a few other cool tools that also came with this. This was actually a demand by the industry, and on the left here you see a sales mode called executive order mode, and this is a version of sales order creation, but it's for the internal team alone. And similar to seeing lots and available, the executive sales mode is a quick entry sales order generator that is in the admin side of SellStack that allows salespeople to go and slap together sales orders in rapid succession. Add, preview, commit, and it's done. And the one particular cool tool that comes with this is that, as I mentioned earlier, some product lots are considered reserved in that they may not be released to the storefront public. You can actually hold back a lot that's available for SellStack, but not show it to the storefront public yet. But that product that is released, did we lose my screen?
Oh, no, I got it back. Sorry.
Back? Okay. That product that is not shown to the storefront, the sales team can have it as a private reserve lot that they may want to have prior to releasing to the public. And they can use this for all sorts of reasons. They can choose to make phone calls to their best customers and say, look, lot ABC is special because of this THC, this terpene, et cetera, and I want to make a special deal with you because you're such a great customer. And they can put that sale into executive sales mode because they want to keep the lollipop in the back pocket for that particular relationship. And so the executive sales mode gives not only real-time awareness of the product lots that they can generate sales orders for very quickly, but they also have a few toys to work with to not only do that quickly, but also to cultivate and curate those relationships a little bit more, favoritism, call it what you want. But ultimately the sales order at the end of the day is still fundamentally the same thing. 365 Cannabis ERP doesn't know that Sue has done this in executive sales order mode or the end client has done it themselves. It doesn't matter. A sales order is a sales order, and any special discounts, any special coupon codes, etc., can get entered in the executive sales order mode or by the client, depending on what kind of deals and coupons you're giving them. But ultimately, the end price and the end deal is reflected in that sales order in 365 Cannabis. And then lastly, I want to make sure that we don't forget this, because this is something that I find does tend to get forgotten a little bit, is the marketing side of things. And the designers and the end presentation people, they have a fantastic tool in SellStack called Layout Engine, which allows them to create those landing pages and menus and any other kind of front-facing presentation that involves content, but also content and product together, and create those front-facing pages that look as beautiful as they need to. They can be as
Mhm.
product rich as they need to, and they can create these things as often as they want. And that's the point, is that if they want to make a special for 420, a special for a certain client set, a special for Mother's Day, you get the idea. They can make as many menus and landing pages as they want and populate them with product out of all sorts of category kind of models, or just manually. They can make up their own rules as to what product goes into their landing pages, but this makes the marketing team and design team as much a part of the product availability process as the salespeople. It's the same primary source of truth for product and product lot availability that applies to the salespeople. It also applies to the marketing and design people, because they can all collaborate and do this at the same time.
And as I was helping customers navigate the other marketplace products that were out there, like, not only is the infrastructure, frankly, not keeping pace with the demands of the industry, but you were always on that generic platform designed buyer's page. And after all of the money, all of the time, and all of the expertise that your excellent marketing and branding people have put together, why do you want your products, first of all, sandwiched between your competitors with your price and margin exposed, but without any of the branding that makes your brand stand out? Again, we are all out here selling essentially the same versions of the strains, the same item categories. You've got jars of, zips, halves, quarters, eighths, you've got pre-rolls. The thing that makes you stand out is your brand and the care. And the only way to communicate that is, again, to use the investment in time and people that you have already put forth, that you already have. Use the tools that you have. And the layout engine that Jason was just talking about allows your customers to be in your store, not the generic cannabis all of Missouri platform.
Exactly. And so that brings us now to the buying experience, which is the other half of all of this. And there really is a just a few clicks here versus 20 to 50 clicks here, in the wholesale, especially in the wholesale world. And we wanted to make this as easy as possible for the Dylans of the world to come in and not only experience a beautiful looking site courtesy of Layout Engine and the design team at whichever at the business themselves, but we also wanted to create practical tools that would allow Dylan to have his 9 locations in one, and also for Dylan to choose his lots. So this is an example of Dylan's seeing a homepage with real product categories. But this is also an experience of Dylan choosing from a product lot. This is an example of a product, but Dylan now has a choice of reviewing product lot specifications that the business chooses to expose: THC, CBD, etc. There's a fantastic console for controlling this, what you expose and what you choose not to expose, and whether you want to work with automated FIFO versus lot buying selection. There are all sorts of configurations to how to do it. The main thing is that you can do it. So this is Dylan's experience. If lot buying, user lot selection is available, so he can go and he can go through an entire sales order by making direct selections just like this. And on top of that, Dylan can actually now go through and do his multi-business ordering for all of his locations and say, well, this is the lot that I chose, and these are now all the locations that I want to give that product lot to, and in the quantities that I'm choosing. I want 5 for this, 3 for this, 7 for this, and so forth. And this is how Dylan got his Memorial Day order done in such a short amount of time, because he could go directly to the product, directly to the product lot specification, and directly to all of his stores all at once. And with one single button at the end of this, he could submit all 9 sales orders all at once.
The
365
goal of
cannabis. So go ahead, Chris.
I was just going to say you're saying it perfectly. Like the goal of any of these platforms, especially anything customer facing, has got to make it easier for customers to buy your products. No ifs, ands, or buts. And so when we were looking at the process that buyers were having, like not only is the interface jumbled, not only are they awash like a cereal aisle of every single category in every single state right up there in front of him, but it was also a painful thing to select a category and then go through the lots and then put that in one basket and then check out, send that to one store, and then create another one. Our entire mission was to remove the friction from your buyers between your buyers rather and your inventory. Make it easy, and we do that by making it attractive, making it easy to look at, and reducing the amount of just cognitive load that your buyers have got to have when looking at your products. Make it easy, reduce the clicks was the mandate from the very beginning.
And one of our mutual clients said of one of their customers once that they quite pointedly said to them, "Don't waste my blinking time." And they're busy. This is the thing, and we want through this kind of experience not just to not waste their time, but we want that buying experience to be so easy that it becomes sticky. They want to
Mm-hmm.
buy from you because why not be able to fulfill all of their dispensary locations easily,
Yeah.
rather than making them go and jump through fiery hoops for all of this? By making it easy, these guys are getting this stuff done in minutes rather than hours.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think that does for your relationship with that customer? They want to buy from you. and
Yeah.
and I'm not just saying words. We're seeing it, because frankly it was the industry that demanded this from us, to figure out how to do multi-business ordering.
Right. You know,
Ultimately, go ahead, Chris.
I was just gonna, no, no, you go ahead. You go ahead. Sorry. I need to
So
control
so
myself.
so we're coming close to time, so we wanted to wrap this up and be respectful of everyone's time. The we wanted to bring this together. We've got a foundation that we were very focused on, of live data across the board, end to end, or seed to sale to delivery, as we call it. We wanted to make sure that the data, of course, is not only is it live data, but it is trustworthy data, because it is all based on primary source of truth. So that means that the selling and buying experience are based on data that you can have confidence in real time. And then fundamentally, we wanted the buying experience to be as fast as possible when you are considering what the industry is doing on a day-to-day basis. So we wanted to make that not just a good looking experience. Of course, that's nice, but also tools that matter to this sector. Multi-business ordering doesn't matter for B2C customers. They're only buying for themselves. It matters for cannabis businesses who have multiple businesses across the state, and in some cases, multi businesses across multiple states. We haven't even really touched on MSOs, because SellStack and 365 also supports MSOs if you are dealing with multiple geographies, whether it is a national basis or, of course, in American states where Connecticut is separate from Ohio, is separate from California. And SellStack and 365 is aware of that and works with it.
Mm-hmm. All of the improvements, the features, the functionality that we have been striving toward is meant to fuel the cannabis industry. Like one of my now, like one of the most overused things, like beyond don't ever call me a master grower, is 1 month in the cannabis industry is the same as 1 year in anybody else. Well, you can scale that down. That means like 1 minute in the cannabis industry is the same as 1 week in any other industry. And the inventory availability, the current pricing, the way that your team needs to move inventory in and out as things age, these are the tools that we have presented and come up with to allow you to move at the speed of the cannabis industry. Cannabis is a living, breathing industry, and that's got to apply to your selling data and your inventory as well.
And ultimately, for us, we needed this to all work, even if you were having a holiday or some of your team was having a holiday and still had enough confidence in this data flow that you could potentially be on the beach like Dylan and Memorial Day.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of tools that we integrate with, just to sort of wrap a few things up. We've talked about the testing compliance data like Metric and BioTrack. SellStack through 365 is fully compliant with this data, and that's what we've been talking about with law compliance. But SellStack also integrates with Salesforce for obvious reasons for people who use Salesforce. Smart Routes for end delivery. For AeroPay for ACH live in-platform payments of your invoices through SellStack, as well as Authorize.net if credit cards work for you. That's usually in Canada, and also potentially ShipStation as well if you need to work with ShipStation. And there are, SellStack is capable of integrating with more if you have very specific requirements as well. Mm-hmm. And this is now your turn. We're trying to wrap this up and keep as close to time as possible. Does anyone have questions that we haven't touched on, or you want us to touch on something a little bit more than we have already?
Yeah, we got a few questions that came in. One of them was, how does onboarding work and how long does it take?
Good one.
You want to start?
Well, if we are starting from a base 365 cannabis implementation, a cannabis project will take anywhere from 4 to 6 months, depending on the complexity of the organization, the number of SKUs, the number of grow environments. We fully realize that this is a longer timeline than a lot of the cannabis technology that is out there. And that is purely because the ERP is going to do more. And I think that is also echoed in the onboarding of SellStack, is that the proposition is by eliminating all of the minutes lost here and there, you slowly take one step after another up the mountain to a smooth, frictionless inventory and manufacturing experience. And SellStack takes it the rest of the way. So we want people to climb the mountain and make the investment at once, and not just continually live clutching onto the side of the hill, again, just brute forcing all of their processes. So full disclosure, it is a more robust implementation, both on SellStack and 365 than, say, some of the Canatech tools out there. But the value that you're going to get is proportional to that.
There's definitely a sliding scale from a SellStack point of view, from the readiness of 365. SellStack has a number of packages, as you would expect, from startup all the way to enterprise. And at the simpler levels, if your data in 365, if and when your data in 365 is already ready, and ready to go, SellStack can actually be up in a matter of days. It is actually that simple. But to Chris's point, depending on the level of complexity and any particular level of design or particular workflow you may want to work with, it can take longer. And Chris is absolutely right. When you get into very specific workflows, it can be into the months as well. But if and when you are truly ready with your data, SellStack can be up and running really very quickly, depending again on the package and level of design that you want.
Awesome. Thank
Thank you.
you.
Good question.
Yeah, we've got another one here. What does it integrate with beyond the partners you named?
Well, from the 365 side and the ERP side, 365 Cannabis is built on the Microsoft Tier 2 ERP platform called Business Central. And Business Central has hundreds of integrations that are native to Business Central. So there's not necessarily an integration that needs to happen. All of those API endpoints are already there, basically waiting to be exposed and plugged in. This can be AP, AR automation, marketing. There is inventory and warehouse enhancements that you can create, license plating for lots of things. And Business Central serves all kinds of industries. So if there is a secondary or deeper business case that Microsoft has come up with, chances are there is an app for that. As far as
And
SellStack integration,
yeah, and there is an element of joy, to the question asker. There's an element of back to primary source of truth. There are areas where 365 is best suited to do that integration because it is an ERP facing kind of data. In other
mhm.
cases, when we're talking about sort of supply chain fulfillment or supply chain and customer experience fulfillment, sometimes it's better that for SellStack to take care of that. So, for an example, there are insurance platforms where live adjudication of insurance approval is one thing. Now that is something we don't talk about here because it's not yet ready for release, but it is a topic of conversation being investigated. There's also other very specific government compliance reporting that SellStack would submit as part of a sales order or as a cousin of a sales order to essentially say, here you go, Mr. and Mrs. Government, this transaction has been completed, and that is a per government kind of thing. So the answer is for both platforms, whether the integration fully exists or needs to exist, those kinds of integrations can be a part of onboarding.
Awesome. Thank you. And then it looks like we've got one more. Can you share some pricing?
Chris, you want to start? You've started.
Sure, sure. So 365, again, based on Microsoft, has a per seat designation. That's to make sure that each one of your users is tied to everything that they have done in the system. So a full 365 Cannabis user for processing, finance, those are 225 a seat. The cultivation prices, the cultivation users run 450 a piece. It's a very common, monthly recurring cost to see anywhere from 2,100 for a medium-sized business to an enterprise level customer being somewhere around 5,000. I always discover that once you take apart the Frankenstein tech stack, our monthly recurring cost is always lower. Once you unpack your cultivation software and your processing and inventory software and your finance software, that the monthly cost right there usually comes under that. And then we start talking about all of the unseen costs that were not being tracked on an invoice that I forget what our superstar's name was. Was it Sue? Susie?
Sue.
Anyway,
Sue.
anyway, anyway, you pay Sue a lot of money to be that smart. And again, the unseen, uninvoiced money that you get back once Sue is being able to utilize her big brain on, something a little more impactful.
On the SellStack side, the SellStack starter package comes in at $495 US a month, and the onboarding is $4,995 to get it going. That runs all the way up to, I've got to refer to my sheet here. goes up to 13.25 a month for the Gamma package, and with just under 35,000 US for onboarding. That's base. I won't mince words. We generally get asked for other things beyond base, but out of the box, it's very powerful. All the tools that you've seen here are available in all of these packages, and there is an enterprise level that we go to where very specific requirements are asked, for usually for workflow, very specific kinds of business workflow, where that goes beyond the 34,475,000 for onboarding, and it goes beyond that into various levels of enterprise, which of course we quote for in the case.
And I also just want to really quickly sing Tristan's praises here, because without fail, one of the things that was included in that onboarding package, which sometimes can make people go, was a very detailed business analysis that lots of companies have not gone through. 365 is taking you through a business analysis of your cultivation, processing, manufacturing, inventory, and finance. But the sales process, how things are transferred from finished inventory to available sale, lots of that business analysis does not get done. And again, like without fail, every single customer that we have brought onto the SellStack platform has cited the tremendous value that they got from actually sitting down, breaking down what everybody is actually doing, cataloging that, and then looking for efficiencies. So you're not just getting an onboarding, you're getting a full business analysis and sort of an opportunity to optimize all of your processes as you reinvent them in this nice, smooth, frictionless way.
Thank you, Chris. And the reality is that if in working through that business analysis, we've also learned an awful lot. And in doing so, it frankly makes us faster. We can already see that the product or the lot or the workflow or the understanding of how the products get out of the ERP and into the customer and sales experience, we're faster at doing it now because we've learned so much in the process of working with 365, who of course have been, the gurus of the industry for us. So I appreciate the kind words, but we've learned what that means, and it allows us to bring value to the onboarding experience for N365 customers or new ones who are just getting their feet wet, because we've seen the lack of understanding or the learning experience at the business side, and what that means for getting the product to market. And it's rewarding sharing that knowledge. And it's also, we've made a lot of documentation that's AI powered, that helps that as well. So it gives us the ability to now document that, so that our own client base can go into our documentation and literally ask the questions: what am I doing wrong that my lots aren't showing up? Where's my prices? How do I make my prices custom for each lot, and this kind of thing. So a lot of learning has happened, and a lot of these tools just weren't available when we first got going, because frankly, we didn't know either.
Great. Well, that is all the questions that I see in our Q&A. So, do you guys have any last words before I close this out today?
Really, just thank you for everyone. We're a little bit over. Hopefully, that's not been too much of a problem. There's some contact information on how to reach us, and we'd love to chat with you more if you have more detailed questions of either Chris or myself. And even if it is just for the sake of kicking tires and looking at screens, we're happy to talk and love to share.
I'm really proud of this. I'm really proud of 365. I'm proud of our team. I'm proud of the collaborations. You want to kick tires, you just want to look at it and take it for a test drive, call me. We want to show this to you.
and we're happy to set up a demo and even customize a demo for you guys if you want something that may dip into either your brand, or if you have 365, maybe tap into your data. We've done that as well. We can, like I said before, we can stand up a SellStack quite quickly if the data is ready. We'd love to share that with you too.
Awesome. Thank you. So that will be the end of our session today. I want to thank you all for joining us, and thank you both, Jason and Chris, for presenting today. We will be sending out a follow-up email this week with the recording and any additional resources. So please be on lookout for that. And if you do have any other questions, please feel free to reach out to either Jason or Chris. They'll be happy to help. Thank you again for joining us today, and we hope to see you at another webinar. Thanks.
Thank
Thanks so
you.
much, Joy.
Thank you, friends.
Thanks all.